So was the Blake Lively smear campaign real or not real? Well, today we're going to roll the footage and play back how it all played out. Get ready for it. Welcome on in. Let's get it.
You're listening to No Filter with Zack Peter, your go-to source for all the latest pop culture and reality TV tea, served fresh all week long. Now, let's dive in.
Hi guys, welcome on in, welcome on in, welcome on in. Happy Monday. Happy Space Day. If you guys who watched Katy Perry and Gayle King and all the other ladies go up into space and come back. They did an 11-minute mission. They shot all the way up to space and then came all the way back down, kissed the floor. Kris Jenner was there. Oprah was there and she was crying. She's like, "Oh my God, Gayle." What a time, right? What a time to be alive. There we go. I got it. It's like I have like a hair. You know when you feel like you have like a little hair on your face and it's like tickling. What a waste of money. Did they pay for it, RJ? I don't think they paid to go to. Did they pay to go to space? Oh damn, they came back. Yeah, they were only there for 11 minutes. It was an 11-minute mission. They went all the way up, and then I think they were in space, like zero gravity for like 4 minutes, and then they came back down. So I didn't watch either, but I saw clips online. Kind of like Coachella. Didn't care to go. Didn't want to watch anything. I actually am slightly offended at the number of people that this weekend have asked me, "Did you go to Coachella? Why aren't you at Coachella? Are you going to Coachella next weekend? You look like you're such a Coachella person." I am not a Coachella person, okay? You need to Coachella and leave me alone because I'm home doing laundry. I'm home washing dishes. I'm washing my dogs. You think I want to go in the desert with the super duper showers? I don't want a super duper shower. Have you seen the super duper showers on TikTok? They're like, "Oh, look, you don't have to worry. You could shower in the super duper showers at Coachella." And the super duper showers are $10 to take a super duper shower. You know where I can take a super duper shower for free? At home. That's what I can do. I can take a super duper extra long shower, extra hot with great water pressure. I can even jerk it if I want to. You know, I can do all the things. I ain't going to the desert. I'm wearing my cowboy space Barbie outfit. I'm okay. I'm good. And also, the people that are at Coachella don't even look like they're having fun. They're all just there with their cell phones. Like, it's Lady Gaga. Abracadabra. And Lady Gaga's on stage and she's like, "Abracadabra, abracadabra." And she's like swinging from the air. And they're like, "Oh." I'm just like, have fun at least. Shit. You took some mushrooms, didn't you? Have some fun with that. You know? Tiffany says, "I cannot imagine Zack camping." It's not that I can't camp out. I'm not against camping. It's just, why would I go and like not shower in the desert to see Lady Gaga? You know? I'm good. I'm good. Danny says the news was talking about how expensive Coachella is. Someone paid $17 for watered down lemonade, and someone else paid $120 for tacos for 3 people. How many damn tacos were they eating for $120 for 3 people? That's crazy talk. Yeah, you have to pay $10 for a shower, and you have to wait like 3 hours. People were saying they were waiting for the super duper showers. There is nothing super or duper about that. The super lame shower. Faye says, "Imagine having money to waste on 11 minutes in space," cries in cost of living. But did they pay? Did Katy Perry pay for this? Gayle King paid to go to space? I thought it was just like, did Katy Perry pay to go to space? How much did Katy Perry pay? That she may have paid. What is that symbol? It looks like a lot of money. Okay. Oh, the company does not disclose the cost of a space flight, but the website says applicants must pay a $150,000 refundable deposit. What is the deposit for? Do you not get a refund if you don't make it back? Also, how did we go to space and we were dancing on the moon and we can't keep Katy Perry up in space for more than 4 minutes? I have questions, people. I have a lot of questions. But mostly the question I don't have and don't want asked of me again is about me at Coachella, because that's not happening. La Madame Claus says, you know how we can figure out if Zach was at Coachella? Check his skin. It's too amazing. Heck, if I had that skin, I'd park my butt at home too. What do people at Coachella have bad skin? What, $500 a ticket for Coachella? Yeah, it's crazy. That's super duper stupid. I'm good. I don't. What's a super duper shower? I have a nice bathroom. No frat house showers for me. Ew. I I couldn't really tell you what a super duper. I watched so many videos on TikTok about the super duper showers, and I still couldn't even really tell you what it was or what made it so super or duper. It was their shower. They're like the okay. Think of like porta potties, and how they have like the nicer porta potties that are like a little van, and you get to go and you go open it. You're like, wow, and there's a light, and there's all the things, right? Um, it's kind of like that, but again, you're there with all these other people in the middle of the desert. So like, how clean are they really? And then you have to, and I'm assuming that someone at some point is coming and like cleaning them out. So then you have to like wait for like it does not sound efficient at all. And for $10, what a ripoff. But other people were like, well, I'm gonna make my own super duper shower. And so they would get a little tent and they would have a little tent and then they would do the water in and they would have a bucket of water. And I'm like, where did you get this bucket of water? Was that in your trunk the entire time? All the junk in your trunk? What you gonna do with all that junk inside your trunk? I'm gonna take a super duper shower. Sorry, I'm on a good one this morning. Jen says, at the end of the day, someone paid for. Oh yeah, someone paid for the spaceship. Who is it? Elon? Who's the other? Bezos? Was he the one that does this? Who sent them to space? Who does anybody remember? Some say it was $300,000 each. Some say it was $5 million. I don't think Gayle King has $5 million. She'd just be like, let's go to space. Hey. Okay, but have you gone to Coachella before? I wanted to go like 10 years ago. No, I have never gone to Coachella and I have no interest in going to Coachella. But I feel like it probably would have been more fun 10 years ago before everybody was just like, look at this Katy Perry, it's Lady Gaga on stage. Like before people were stupid and you could have fun and like, take some shrooms and like dance in the desert and, nobody cared if you smelled like you hadn't taken a super duper shower in 5 days, For 11 minutes. Yep. 11 minutes. Could you imagine? I've had guys that lasted longer than that. I can last longer than that. Judy says, I live in the desert. I have no desire to camp out in it. Just now. Thank you. I'm glad that we're all on the same page. Ridiculous people going to space. Everyone's ranting in the live chat. And I don't know if you're ranting about Coachella or space, but I'm with you on both, Elena says the moon landing was fake. What? I mean, I don't know. I haven't gone down that conspiracy theory about the moon landing being fake, I'll be honest with you. But at the same time, I'm also kind of just like, how are we only sending Katy Perry? Like, if she paid that much money and we only gave her a 4-minute trip, could you imagine? That's not the kind of pocket rocket. Like, I'm just going to stop that. Woodstock. Coachella is stupid. Woodstock was epic. Yeah. And iconic. Yeah. Woodstock was where it's at. You go, you have fun, you sleep with your best friend's boyfriend, you do all the things and nobody remembers and you just know you had a good time. Now you can't do any of that because everybody's filming you. Like I saw Kylie Jenner at Coachella with Timothy and he looks like a loser. But like she was at Coachella with him and they were dancing. First of all, the fashion at Coachella was really terrible. Everybody that I saw at Coachella, their outfits were so stupid. But like Kylie looked like she wanted to have fun and she was like kind of dancing, but like she was like, oh no, I'm being filmed. And like nobody could have fun at Coachella, It's super duper boring. I think she's saying you'd be sunburnt and you'd look like your skin is dry, but your skin is dry. Thank you. I saw $600 for a ticket to Coachella. Yeah, I think so. Cowboy Space Barbie. Yeah, that's what they all look like. They're all Cowboy Space Barbies. I'm like, are you from the past or the future? I can't, nobody knows. Bezos, yes. Bezos is, okay, so Bezos is the one that's done in space. So what, Bezos and Elon, are they just like having a competition to see who can do the most in space? Who can do the most wheelies in space? Oh, Zach, it's been so long since before people were stupid. I know. Tell me about it. Nicole says, I need a kitty sleuth shirt merch for my cat. Oh, that'd be fun. I wanted a Coachella experience. People in the tens talked about it. Y'all outfits are great, right? Somebody, yeah, I went to a comedy show last night and Somebody was like, "Oh, you look like you would go to Coachella. You just need a cute outfit." And I said, "First of all, what does it mean? What do you mean when you say I look like I would go to Coachella? And second of all, what do you mean a cute outfit? I'm wearing a cute outfit. Thank you very much. You want me to look like a cowboy space Barbie? No, thank you. If I had a cute outfit. What? You want me to wear blonde hair with a cowboy hat, assless chaps, and a metallic bra on? No, thank you. No, thank you. Elon is going to get the bean mad again. We're going to have bad race we cut off. Misty, I don't know what you said, but I agree. Yeah. I mean, are people well, I guess are the people mad at Jeff Bezos as much as they're mad at Elon? Not as much, right? Like we're not tagging spaceships because Elon sent or Bezos sent same person sent them to space, right? Everyone's like burn the Teslas, and I'm like, okay, I thought you cared about climate change. Okay, guess not. Never mind. JK, LOL. Everyone just wants to dress like Beyonce now. Assless chaps. I love it when you have a low rent. I mean, it's true. That would be quite a look. You would have to actually pay me to spend 3 days in a tent in the middle of nowhere with hundreds of intoxicated people. Yeah. Brigitte said, "You should have sent a Justice for Justin T to Bezos for his spaceship." You know? Yeah, I'm a little activated this morning. Elon doesn't do space rides. I thought didn't he bring the people back from space? We lost the people in space, and he's like, "Oh, let me get my little handy dandy rope and just pull them right back in." Remember the lady with the crazy hair, and she was lost in space with that weird man? They were a weird couple. Were they a real couple? Do you think they boned in space? I mean, come on, you know? Imagine if like that's how it ends for you. It ends with us. All right. Speaking of it ends with us, let's get into the Blake Lively of it all. But first, a message from this week's sponsors.
Let's talk about weight loss. We all know somebody taking the Zempic or something similar to shed the pounds, right? Well, now it's a staggering 13 million Americans who are taking a drug for a disease they don't even have. Talk about scary. There are now class action lawsuits linked to side effects for non diabetics like gastrointestinal issues, pancreatitis, kidney problems, and even some cancers. I know. We all think we're invincible, right? But do you really think it's worth risking your health? Do you struggle with cravings, have a slow metabolism, maybe some stubborn fat? You're not alone. The experts at the Wellness Company's medical board have developed a new, safer option to help curb appetite by working with your body's GLP-1 hormones without a prescription or painful shots. Introducing Drop, a breakthrough GLP-1 peptide that targets hormones to assist in improving metabolism and blood sugar balance, plus hunger reduction. Just a few flawless drops in your water each morning for some serious weight loss on your terms. Summer's around the corner, and if you've been looking for an alternative that doesn't involve shots, it's time to drop it like it's hot, minus the needles. Head to twc.health/nofilter and use code NOFILTER to save $75 off your first month supply. That's twc.health/nofilter and use code NOFILTER to save $75 off your first month. Go right now. Make this your best season yet with nutritious 2-minute meals from Factor. Eating well has never been this easy. Just heat up and enjoy, giving you more time to do what you want. Get outside instead of prepping and cooking indoors. Factor meals arrive fresh, ready to eat, perfect for any active lifestyle, like mine. With 45 weekly menu options, you can pick gourmet meals that fit your goals. Choose from Calorie Smart, Protein Plus, Keto, and more. I'm currently on the Protein Plus. We're trying to bulk up, right? Factor powers your day with satisfying breakfasts, on-the-go lunches, premium dinners, and guilt-free snacks and desserts. It's easy to savor more this spring. Factor meals pack in flavor without any of the fuss. I know with me, if I've had a long day of taping, if I've been at an event, or I've been running around all day with the dogs, it's so nice to not have to come home and then make a mess in the kitchen by cooking and then having to clean. Factor's super easy. You pop it right in the microwave. It's ready in 2 minutes, and I get to enjoy a delicious meal that I know also hits my macros. Am I right? Get started at factormeals.com/nofilter50off and use code nofilter50off to get 50% off plus free shipping on your first box. That's code nofilter50OFF. nofilter50off. nofilter50off at factormeals.com/nofilter50off for 50% off plus free shipping.
All right, there you go. Links and codes are in the description below. Hello, everybody. Don't forget to hit the like button, guys. Yes, thank you, Nicole. Thank you for that reminder. Thank you. Faye says, going to space must be an amazing experience, but I couldn't do it. Knowing my luck, the rocket would get hit by an asteroid or something. Well, don't say that. Brigitte says, people like and subscribe 100K for real estate. What 100K? Which, by the way, just an update on Onijah Robinson. She is living her best life in New York, guys. She's back and at it and doing the damn thing. I'm like, okay, Onijah Robinson. Okay. So Blake Lively, there was, I guess, a new 60 Minutes documentary that's come out where they now have a crew member. From It Ends With Us that is speaking out against Blake Lively, which I found very interesting. Hold on, let me see if I can find the actual clip for you. Is it this one? I think this is the story of a girl who cried a river and drowned the whole world. They say she looks so sad in photographs. I absolutely love her.
The only place that I can go as a Baha'i are to the writings of the Baha'i faith.
Only in
Because I
Hollywood
believe-
can you find an outlandish plot like this. Baldoni is a devoted member of a religion most people have never heard of.
In our case, Baha'u'llah, Jesus, Muhammad, Moses, they knew, and they know where we're going.
The Baha'i faith preaches freedom, unity, equality, even teetotaling and the number 9 among its unique sacred traditions. Peter believes that for some on set, including Lively, Baha'i behaviour crossed a line. What was so strange about the behaviour on that set that you noticed?
There was a lot of prayer. There was a lot of hugging. Justin has a proclivity towards talking about how he wanted to consult with God on certain creative decisions. One of the weirdest parts of this whole thing was that Blake, she claimed that Justin told her that he had been communicating with her dead father, who had passed away several years ago, which is so strange. And I think in this day and age, when Hollywood sets have become much more strict about what you can say and do and get away with, certain people found his behavior and some of the things that he was saying and some of the producers were saying highly objectionable.
Okay, so that's one clip. And then here's another one specifically from the crew member, that I'll share with you guys as well. Okay, here we go.
Maybe Blake smelled his kindness, mistook it for weakness, and tried to take advantage and take power. So, yeah.
So you believe Blake Lively wrestled control of the film?
I think she tried to, yes.
Did she succeed in the end?
Probably, yeah. I think that there was a massive compromise in terms of Justin's original vision for the film. I feel like maybe Blake smelled his kindness, mistook it for weakness, and tried to take advantage and take power.
All right, so this is, I guess, this new documentary. I think there may be clips that are available on YouTube, but I don't know where they're getting these crew members from necessarily. Yeah, I said for the full story, subscribe to 60 Minutes Australia's YouTube channel. A member from the It Ends With Us crew speaks out for the first time, weighing in on the feud between Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni. How did Australia get this and the US couldn't? How did they get a crew member to speak out? I mean, she may also just be like a contractor. I'm not entirely sure. This just came across my desk this morning. So we at least have her that's coming out. We have people from the set of It Ends With Us that are now starting to come out and share their experiences from the set of It Ends With Us. Oh, yeah, 60 Minutes Australia. Maybe we'll watch it today. I don't know why, but your audio sounds different today. In a bad way? Does it sound different? Guys, how did you know? I mean, my mic was not connected. So is this pro Justin or pro Blake? I don't know. It kind of looks, well, I don't know. We've been deceived before, but also sounds like it's coming through the computer. Okay, guys, how has it been that way the whole time? Nobody told me my mic wasn't connected this whole time. Everything sounds fine to me. I was hearing everything. Sounds fine to me. I can hear just fine. But yeah, but my mic wasn't, the computer mic was connected for a minute. Was the computer mic connected the entire time? Sorry, guys. I didn't realize that was what was going on. Now my whole rant sounds a lot better now. Yeah, because my mic wasn't connected. Well, damn. You sound better, but we could hear you. Same, but you sound clear to me. Well, because Kirsty covered it this morning. It's more pro Blake. I feel like all of them are pretty like, are we? This is what drives me kind of wild. Like, I'm like, are we crazy to think that like he's right? Like, how is it that I don't understand? Like, is this real media gaslighting that's like convincing us that, what we're seeing and hearing is not real? Like, are we so off? Look what just came across my desk right now. We've received an invite to a campaign for Mint Mobile. I'm working on a test. Okay, we're going to test proposal for Mint Mobile. OMG, you guys. Mint Mobile. They would provide a SIM card for me, and I would have to. OMG. Okay, I'm going to pass on this one. I'm going to say no, hard no. We're going to pass on Mint Mobile. I just feel like ethically that would be wild. Yeah, we're going to pass on Mint Mobile. That's crazy. How funny that Mint Mobile wants to. Thank you, but no thank you. Don't do it. I didn't do it, you guys. I drank Blake Lively's Betty Buzz over the weekend. Did you guys catch that? I did a review of Betty Buzz, which you can watch on Instagram right now. I was at Whole Foods and here it is. I was at Whole Foods and I decided I needed to try. Well, I was going for some wine and then I was passing by the seltzer aisle and I was like, oh, like, the sparkling drinks or whatever. And so I was like, well, let me just figure this out. Let me, see if there's anything good here. And I happened to find Betty Boo's. I saw Betty Boo's, and the second I saw it, I was like, oh, should I? Should I? And I did. I went and I did it. I purchased the 6-pack, which was probably overpriced if you ask me. But so I decided to do it and I decided to taste it. It was a bourbon seltzer, which is strange because they don't have, you have like vodka seltzers or you have tequila seltzers, but you don't have bourbon seltzers. Like that's what was so strange to me. And so I was like, I kind of have to try this because what if it's good, right? You gave money to Blake. Okay, well, this is people are mad. Like you gave money to Blake, but you have to realize she needs money to pay Justin. So in my head, the money is ultimately going to Justin in the end. Okay. In the end. But so I tried them. They weren't great. There was one of them that was not a Moscow Mule, but that tasted like a Moscow Mule. And that was the only one that was like decent. Like, look at my face. I'm like, I'm not a fan of these. They were not good. They had one that was like a peach honey mint something. Like they were just every single one had so many different flavors, and the flavor combo just felt like a Lily Bloom outfit. Like just think of how Blake Lively was dressed in It Ends With Us. And then imagine that being a seltzer and drinking that, because then the other crazy part with seltzer specifically is when it comes to whiskey or bourbon or rye, like people like drinking whiskey, bourbon, rye. Like they like the flavor. They like to taste it. These had only 4.5% alcohol. 4.5% alcohol. Like, come on. You think I just fell out of a coconut tree? No, thank you. No.
That's nothing. You can't even taste it. What's the whole point, you know? They're trying to buy, right? They saw that I did a taste test for Betty Boo's, and they're like, oh, let's get him. Let's get the Mint Mobile deal. He's a sellout. No, I'm not a sellout. So yeah, like a Lily Bloom outfit. Emily said, I'm all about the whole don't yuck my yum, but the stuff has to be yum to be good. Yeah, it was not yummy. Not yummy at all. See, people liked the review. So if you haven't watched the review, you can watch it on Instagram. You can go on my Instagram and watch it there. I'm a low to non-alcohol drinker. Congrats. Sarah says, what is your news first? Oh, my news is coming on April 22nd. That's my big, which is days away. Oh my God, I didn't realize today was the 14th. Oh, a week away. Next Tuesday is the big news. So get ready. Are you trying them warm? No, they were chilled. They were cold when I was sipping on them. Are you going to try Blake Brown's hair care products next? Should I? I don't want to ruin my hair though, you know? Zack, what's your news? I told you the news is coming out next week. The drink review was awesome. Betty Buzz is like Lily Bloom's fashion. Well, Betty Buzz is the non-alcoholic version. Betty Booze is the alcoholic version. But so, okay, no, it will damage your hair. Yeah, I'm not going to damage my hair. No, thank you. But anyway, so I was going back through the archives because I wanted to see how things played out last summer, right? And so I was going back through the archives and I realized that I remember covering the It Ends With Us drama, but I wanted to like really reflect on it and see if it happened the way I remember it happening. So I pulled these clips from the Pop Report last summer because I remember when the rumors were going around and we talked about it on the Pop Report. So I pulled two clips. One, when the rumors first started after the premiere, when people were like, oh, is there cast, rumblings? Is there feuds? What's going on? Why are Justin and Blake not, talking or doing press together? And then another one after the Kirsty Flaw video with the little bump. So I'm going to play you both of those so that you can see, so we can watch how this alleged smear campaign played out. Right? We're going to reflect and recap last summer, the It Ends With Us drama, and let's see how this alleged smear campaign really unfolded, because it did not unfold the way Blake Lively wants us to remember. And I'm glad that I have the footage that we can pull. So this is the first one right after the rumors first began. Back, and I think like with Blake, it came to, she was fighting hard from my understanding, she was fighting hard from her character and making sure her character's perspective as somebody that is, a victim of assault, she wanted to make sure that, her character's story was told in a certain light, which as the actress, I understand a director dismissing, but as the producer, she's a producer on the film. She does have a say in terms of, story direction and storytelling.
It's also hard to balance that. Like when you are an actor, and also Blake Lively's directed music videos for Taylor Swift. And so like, it is kind of weird when you're put on two different hats of like, I don't agree with this as an actress, and then there's also like, I don't agree with this as a producer. Like these are notes, so you have to have those conversations and figure out like where to pick your battles too.
It seems like a lot of the drama stemmed from post-production, so it wasn't even so much like on set tensions. Like now we're starting to hear about some of the on-set tensions, but it seemed like the issues came with the creative direction of the final cuts that were in the film that it doesn't seem that Blake was in full agreement with. And then I believe Justin has also alluded to Blake behind the scenes trying to pitch herself to be the director of the next film should there be a sequel, which I believe Justin's production company does have first right of refusal over. So there is no sequel as of right now. There is no plans to have a sequel. It's very possible, probably with the success of the film, they will do a sequel. I think everybody went into it, like the Harry Potter series, like the 50 Shades of Grey series. You go in with the first one and you have an expectation of it to continue on. So that was in August of last year. And so if you notice, I'm actually pro Blake, right? Because from what we're hearing, it sounds like they just have creative differences. And I'm like, yeah, as an actor, if you're just an actor or an actress on the set, then, that kind of sounds like you don't have much say. You kind of just have to read your lines and perform your character. But since she was a producer, and I was kind of defending the fact that she was a producer at this time, right? So this is the alleged smear campaign where everybody was coming out, and not many podcasts were covering covering this drama, but we covered it. And you can very clearly see me kind of making points for Blake Lively. Obviously, we had no idea how this was going to unfold. And so here's another clip for what happened within the next couple of weeks as things were continuing to unfold. And then we had the little bump video from Kirsty Flaw where Kirsty says to Blake, she's like, congrats on your little bump. And then Blake Lively says, congrats on your little bump. So this is right after that. And you'll hear my tone completely shift. And I've always said from the beginning, the real catalyst that turned people against Blake was the little bump video. And I don't blame Kirsty for that, but I think Blake Lively's behavior was finally put on display. And that's when other people felt more comfortable going through her interviews. So let's watch this clip.
We need to talk. Okay. We need to talk about this whole Blake Lively, Justin Baldoni stuff because I have a lot to say.
We talked about it like
we
our last
talked about it a little
episode,
before,
but there's more.
But there's a lot that's come out because now there's this like anti-Blake campaign that's going on.
Really?
And I'm low-key living for it. Like, she's a bitch.
I'm starting to think about just like Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds, like everybody's like, love them. They're so attractive, love their goofy relationship. But like now I'm starting to think like the way they treat each other online in front of everybody, I'm like, what is it like behind closed doors? I bet you're both awful people. Like I bet you're both just like really terrible because the interview that she did, I don't know what, maybe it was an Australian reporter or she did that interview with a reporter.
Oh yeah.
And the reporter had known she was pregnant and said, oh, I love your bump. And then she goes, love your bump. And I was like, okay, well, that was crazy.
That's a wild remark to also hit back with.
See, so you're seeing the little bump video, as I've always said. I know I called her a bitch, but like you can see the tone shift of being like, well, I can see Blake's side and I can understand why she would want to like, you know, have creative input if she's a producer. And then it completely shifts. Oh my God. Okay, hold on. Let me address this. Brigitte says, oh yeah, how much did you raise for No More? I don't have the final numbers yet. I just text to see if we can get updated numbers for that. I don't have the numbers yet, but I will say prior to the final couple of days, I think the last update I got was Monday or Wednesday. And that number, should I say it now or should I wait until I have the final number? I will say I met the goal I wanted to hit to donate. We went over that goal last week before the final numbers. And I don't know if I wanted, why are you guys all quoting me saying that Blake was a bitch? I mean, she was a bitch. Mel says, I saw you first with this video, Zach. Loved when you called her a bitch and low-key living for the drama. I was living for the drama. Say it. Now. Give us the tea. Okay. So far, the number that we have, so my goal was to hit 5,000. That's what I wanted to donate to the No More Foundation. The last update that I got was over 5,500. And that's not even the final goal yet. The goal was 5,000. I wanted to write a $5,000 check to the No More Foundation. So far, we've raised 5,500, over 5,500. And that was before the campaign closed over the weekend. So that's a good number. That's an exciting number. I'm very excited that we were able to raise that, which is not just me. Like I love that Lewis is on the screen here. Yeah, I'll do more of an official. So keep that number between us for right now. This is just me and, the 2,100 people watching this live right now. But that's our little secret. We're just going to keep that between us for now. But yeah, thank you guys. I'll do an official like final number announcement and all of that stuff once I have the final number in, but I will keep you guys posted. But let's get back to the clip here of I mean, obviously you saw me call Blake a bitch, but like, see, my tone shifted, but it was the little bump video that was always the catalyst. But let's keep watching the rest of this commentary.
Yeah,
I know. And the reporter's like, I wanted to cry in that interview. I was like, I would have wanted to cry too. Imagine Blake Lively pokes at your pop belly.
So for those who missed it, we talked about this a little bit last episode, but there's been this, It Ends With Us, like entire fiasco. There's also It Begins With Us, which is another book from that author.
It Starts With Us. Andy got that wrong. I just have to correct him, even though he's not here for me to correct him to his face. I just had to correct him. The book is called It Starts With Us, not It Begins With Us. But thank you.
It Ends With Us has been just like in the tabloids for like not the good reasons. Justin has like producer and director credits. Blake has producer and acting credits. So they just didn't agree. The author.
At this point, we didn't even know about the PGA mark. Okay, but wait. So the clip gets more interesting when Lewis weighs in on the crisis management team, because that was also going around. And it's like, well, who put out that rumor?
Sided with Blake on a lot of different like choices for how like the woman should be portrayed in this. And a lot of
This was September, by the way. So the first clip that we watched was August, which was right after the premiere. This was September.
just headlines of saying, you know, Justin made Blake uncomfortable. Blake had these
What, have you
situations
heard
on
the
scene.
allegations though now? That they're saying that like part of when he made her uncomfortable, it was because there was a scene where he had to lift her up and he wanted to check with the choreographer to make sure that like, because he had a back injury previously. So he's like, I just want to make sure I lift her up in a way that doesn't hurt my back.
Yeah.
And she was like offended that he
I could see
said
how that
that.
can land
like
wrong.
asked for her.
I can see how that
asked
can
for
la-
her weight, like
Yeah.
how much she weighed. But it's like, okay, with the context, I'm like, well, yes.
Yeah, with the context, it makes sense. Back injury, lifting, you have to like, that does make sense.
Yeah.
But if you take it out of context and spin it and then use words like chauvinist and, you know, made me uncomfortable, then it's like, what?
Wasn't there also a kissing scene that they said he quote unquote held too long? Like there was just things that made her feel not good about taping together,
Which is why I think it was then smart when he's on this press tour to talk about the importance of having the intimacy choreographers on set checking everything. And he's like, and I would make sure that when I would wrap a scene, I would look to the choreographers to see if they thought it was a good move or a bad move or get their feedback. And he was very specific about, we had people on set that were overseeing all of these things.
And now he's hired a crisis PR manager from what the latest headline I've seen.
Good for him.
I think it's kind of needed. I mean, you don't go into that territory unless it's bad. Like crisis PR is like, that's
Or
not
you want to
cheap.
prevent it from getting
Bigger.
out of hand, which
There's
I
stuff
think
that might be
now
there
that
that-
there's speculation, I think now you need to stay ahead of it.
What is your thought, Lois? So you said you wanted to talk about something about this.
Well, it's the whole just like, is Blake actually a nice person or not? And I'm starting to lean towards she's not. But then even with him hiring like that crisis person, it's almost like he knows it's not going to go in his favor, not because he's done anything wrong, but because like, I feel like Blake is a little powerful, like in the sense that like that she could.
Sorry, guys. There was just a little earthquake here. Everyone's like, what's going on, Zach? What's going on? Yeah, I got the alert because I have my notifications off. And I don't know if you heard that little chime. I was like, wait, what is happening? And then I was like, wait, and you can feel the earth moving. I was like, but it was funny because I got the alert and I was like, oh shit, wait, what's happening? So there was just an earthquake. Sorry. Apologies. It was 5.8 is what they're reporting the earthquake was.
And
so the building had a little bit of a sway. I don't feel earthquakes too much in the building that I'm in, but that was kind of wild. I was like, oof, it was a little unsteady there.
Do whatever she wants, and then he has to kind of pick up the pieces and be like, hey, no, this isn't actually how it was put together. I have to put it back together myself.
Yeah.
And like explain himself a little bit better. And I don't know. I feel like he's panicking not because he did something wrong, but because he knows he didn't do something wrong.
Well, I mean, we're post Me Too at this point, that it's like the guy rarely ever wins. And I'm always wanting to lean on the side of like the pro woman side of it. But like when you do dig into, I mean, I've heard things about Blake. I have friends that I guess are close to his brother or close to the situation. So I've heard things about Blake and I've seen things like clear black and white things that I was like, oh, this is not, I think when she started with, or when she had like the Gossip Girl moment, like you reached this level of fame where at that point it was allowed for you to be a bitch behind the scenes, and maybe there were rumors or whatever, but like I keep calling her a bitch. You were allowed to be mean to people because social media wasn't what it is now, where people are willing to like blast you and out you. But yeah. Okay, so here we talk about a number of different things in this clip specifically, and this is after more of the rumors were coming out. We had heard that Justin Baldoni hired Crisis PR. So to me, that is where it gets a little more, like we're starting to get more context, but then now in retrospect, looking back at how this was all playing out in real time. And it's funny because we were covering this throughout the weeks when this whole alleged smear campaign was going on. And again, you can see the shift in my tone from when the rumors first went on, but then this is like, what, 2 weeks later, and we already had so many additional details. So it kind of feels like both Blake and Baldoni's teams were playing this out in the press about like, oh, he hired a crisis PR team, and oh, well, there was the fat shaming, and oh, well, the fat shaming, it wasn't really fat shaming because he just needed her weight because of his back injury, right? But the crazy part is, and what I noticed in all of these clips and in watching back our coverage of how this all organically played out, there's no mention of harassment. It was creative differences. It was changing of certain lines. It was the fat shaming. Like the fat shaming is the biggest one, is the biggest thing that people kept honing in on and talking about at this time. Not the alleged harassment. It was all about the fat shaming, which even if you remember the 17-point list that she presents, that was only in relation to, there was no harassment listed yet. And a lot of it, the main point was the fat shaming, because that's when we heard Ryan Reynolds went and, berated Justin Baldoni in front of everyone around the fat shaming, right? So, which is why it kind of makes it a little questionable that none of the harassment claims came out. And Baldoni and Wayfair, they've all claimed that they'd never heard of Blake's concerns about any sort of sexual harassment until the lawsuit was actually filed. And then it suddenly went from the 17-point list to now it's this 30-point list. And then in her second amended complaint, it was a 20-point list. So we don't even know how many points are, but Wayfair said the only list that they were presented with was the 17-point list. Hiring crisis PR isn't how TF did her side. No, how did they know he hired a crisis PR team? Stephanie Jones. Yeah, Stephanie Jones, again, was very much the catalyst. I know people were asking about her subpoena and whether or not that's been revealed yet. Well, nobody has seen the subpoena aside from a couple of press outlets, Deadline, Daily Mail. I believe Page 6 may also be one of the press outlets that saw the alleged subpoena. And now the articles that I saw come out over the weekend were like, oh, well, the publicist said that she was court ordered to hand over all of Justin's text messages. But again, was it really a court order if there was no lawsuit that was actually in place at that point? Lisa said because she was never SH'd. Yeah. The earthquakes are fine. San Diego here, big old earthquake. Yeah, we're fine. I'm fine. It didn't. I know people are asking about the dogs. The dogs are fine. I hate earthquakes. I'd never get used to them. I was like, oh my God, do I have to pause this live? It's fine. The building shook a little bit. Usually when you get a notification, it's a big one. 5.8 is a relatively big-ish earthquake. So I was a little like, that's why you saw me kind of alert, because I was like, shit, is it going to blow up? Is it going to get worse? Is it going to really shake? Do I have to pause the live and come back once I've survived? But it's okay. It wasn't too bad. It was and like I said, you don't feel it much in my building for whatever reason. Maybe it's just the way, because I know a lot of these buildings are now built to be earthquake safe. So yeah, I felt a little bit of little swaying. I think what scared me more was the notification. I was like, oh damn, 5.8, that's big. How heavy is it going to hit? But so yeah, Anna and Anomaly G says, thank you, Zach. I haven't mentioned to the lawyers, wasn't this supposed to be a harassment, but everything is smear. Everything that they're focusing on is the smear campaign. But again, the smear campaign can only be linked to the retaliation, and the retaliation is in reference to the harassment. So all three of those key pieces are what are needed in order for her to successfully prove her case. She has to prove that the smear campaign took place and it was in retaliation and it was linked to the harassment. But they're really focusing in on this smear campaign. And I don't know. The case isn't that strong, in my opinion. Jed Wallace and, him and the alleged astroturfing, that's where we're really going to have to see if there's any teeth to that, any meat to that argument. Is anyone here in the Colleen Hoover Facebook group? I would love access to see what was posted from August to December. I'm not. I don't think she's even letting people in now. Zach, you were spot on in that first video. It aged well. What did I say in the first video? The second video is where I called her a bitch, and I feel like that also aged well, and I was pretty spot on with that too. But the first video, I said the first video was focused on the producer and the producer versus actor and how, she should have had some influence as a producer, but as an actor, like, you don't really have any influence. Tiffany says the Australian 60 Minutes had a guy say that there was an untraceable smear campaign. Okay, how can we prove that there was an untraceable smear campaign if it's fucking untraceable? Like, that's the part that is so crazy to me, is it's like, just because Blake says that there was an untraceable smear campaign doesn't mean that it exists. Like, what? That's what's so crazy about the whole smear campaign thing. The only way for the New York Times to get it would be through a subpoena, which there was no legal proceeding to attach to, or it was through FOIA, which applies to publicly traded entities or government agencies. No. So I think you're confusing what the subpoena was to Jones Work PR, Stephanie Jones, who handed over all of the text messages to Blake Lively's team. Then Blake Lively's team used all of those messages to put in her CRD complaint. And then somehow the CRD complaint leaked to the New York Times, which obviously Blake's team had to have given them that. Like, there's just no way around. There's no other plausible. It's a confidential filing. It was not going to leak. Blake had to have, or her team had to have intentionally given it to the New York Times. So yeah, the New York Times didn't need to subpoena anything. It was Blake Lively's team that subpoenaed Jones Work, which is weird that they subpoenaed Jones Work and didn't subpoena Melissa Nathan or Jennifer Abel. And again, it'll be interesting to see whether or not that subpoena holds up. Because I think, like, my understanding is Stephanie Jones would have to then give Jennifer Abel heads up that her text messages were being turned over. Like, Jennifer Abel, I would think, would be the one that would need to turn those messages over, not Stephanie Jones. That's where it gets weird, because technically, like, yes, it was a company phone, but some of the information, I guess, was personal to Jennifer Abel, but however, the company did own the phone. I don't know, but then I would assume that there are privacy violations because Baldoni and Jamie Heath and Wayfair were clients of Jones Work PR. I don't know, something. It's all very complicated and messy, and I have so many questions that we don't have answers to, and it's going to be interesting when Stephanie Jones gets deposed. Another lawyer said that it's strange that the subpoena went to Jones Work instead of the phone company. That too, yeah, that's another great point, But it was done before there was a lawsuit, so how did it happen? Well, I'm pretty sure her legal team is going to argue that it was while they were building their lawsuit that first. So this is also, again, this is why their whole story doesn't add up, right? Because Blake Lively sued in New York, but she filed her CRD complaint in California. And in California, they wanted the right to sue letter, which they ultimately ended up getting. There was no investigation done by the CRD, but the Civil Rights Department in California, there was no investigation done, but they did give her the right to sue letter. We had Daniel Feruzin on the podcast here, and he clarified that, yes, you can do that. You can you can have them skip the investigation piece and just jump to the letter, the right to sue letter, which she does have the right to sue letter, but she didn't use that to sue him in California. She didn't even need it at all because she filed her lawsuit in New York. So again, it doesn't make sense that they would, even if they were planning this New York lawsuit for all this time, because I think this is where the New York Times is going to argue for their protections, is because remember how the metadata showed that they'd been working on the article since October based off of the content or the media that was uploaded to the New York Times server that we've now seen. So they're probably going to argue, I don't know, there's something about it that's way off, right? And then now suddenly Stephanie Jones produces this copy of the subpoena. It conveniently happens to be linked to October, which was pulling things into question for the New York Times. And then on top of that, like, I don't know, just so much of the story doesn't make any sense, and that's why when people, if you really look into the details and you look into, the legal process of formally suing someone, this timeline and these pieces don't add up. And I think Katie in the live chat made a really good point of like, why not subpoena the phone company? Yeah, the New York Times is the expert that talked in 60 Minutes Australia is Christopher Boozy, a huge supporter of Meghan and Harry, so he has no ethics. Yikes. Meghan and Harry, like, yikes. The magical, untraceable smear campaign. Also, unicorns. Yeah, like, how do you even win a case for an untraceable smear campaign? You know? Diana says, asked two lawyers said that they searched and there were no lawsuits at the time for any of the parties. Right. And I mean, and we've known that, Diana, right? Like, that's why, again, it doesn't make sense. And why would she then go and she didn't get her right to sue letter until December, which is when she filed her CRD complaint. So even then, why were you subpoenaing people back in October? It doesn't make sense. The subpoena thing is suspicious as heck. It's so suspicious. Did they check Ryan Reynolds for lawsuits? I don't think he's suing anybody. He's just being sued by Justin Baldoni, and that didn't happen until January. Melissa M says they did it that way so that she could claim all the protections in each state. Yeah, I mean, that's the theory that we've put together. She's trying to use the litigation privilege and the fair use privilege or fair reporting privilege, sorry, and the sexual harassment Me Too privileges. So all of that is, it kind of seems like that's like this was a very well thought out plan. So if anything, if there was a smear campaign, and I said this from the beginning too, we should roll back the footage from December. I said from the very, ooh, I want to pull that clip. I'm going to see if I can pull that clip and maybe we'll play it tomorrow. But I remember what I was saying this back in December, that if anything, the smear campaign looks like it's coming from Blake Lively. And that's actually, we have that. We have it in an Instagram live, or not an Instagram live, an Instagram reel. Let's see if we can play that one. Because I remember all of this happening in real time and playing it out and being like, if anything, because I remember people got mad at me for this one specific reel that I did because they thought that I was defending Blake, which I wasn't really defending Blake, but I was just saying that, you know, this orchestration was smart of her, the way that she did it, because it was, let's see. You know that it's our time. These are the best days of our lives. Okay, I think it's this one. I think I found it. Let's pull it up and play it for you. I have to give it to Blake Lively because she is doing a phenomenal job at taking down Justin Baldoni. He came with an arsenal with his team ready to take her down, and she brought the bazooka to the fight, and she's like, let's go. Listen, the easiest and quickest way to attack somebody's reputation is to file a civil lawsuit where you can essentially make any claim without any sort of evidence. And so far, we have not seen any concrete evidence of any of the allegations that Blake Lively has made against Justin Baldoni in that civil complaint, which is not even yet a full lawsuit. Like, think about it. The world has completely turned on Justin Baldoni. Like that. Like, completely how fickle the audience is. Granted, I don't think he's that great of a guy, and I don't even want to defend him, but I just want to say Blake Lively's masterclass in taking him down is literally an art. Because even if this goes to trial, even if this does move forward or doesn't, she can drop the lawsuit tomorrow, but the damage is already done. You already think what you think about Justin Baldoni. You already believe the allegations without even needing to see any evidence. Whether he did it or didn't is yet to be seen, but the damage is done. And not only that, but people don't realize that, like, not only is this out there, but the New York Times conveniently keeps getting tipped off and then releases all of these documents for all of us to just like download and consume and read these allegations. Like, it's wild to me. Don't mess with Blake Lively. She will come and she will destroy you. Listen, props to her. Okay. I mean, listen, I wasn't intentionally defending her. I wasn't trying to defend her. I was just saying, if you are running a smear campaign, this is the smartest way to do it, to destroy somebody and to completely discredit them. I just got the final number. Wow. I just got the final number for what we raised. I'm not going to tell you that number, actually. That number I'm going to keep to me, but it is a lot better than the number I just gave you. So stay tuned. I'm going to announce that. I'll announce that maybe I'll announce it this week. Once the check comes in and I send the check to once we sign on the dotted line, I'll make sure we do a big thing about it. But that's exciting. Very, very excited. I'm very grateful. And I have to do like a proper video thanking everybody and sharing what we did together. But so yeah, like I said, and that was, when was this video? Oh, this was on Christmas Eve is when I published that one, December 24th. So again, this is all the real-time coverage of how this was. I'm just glad that we have the footage of when we were covering the It Ends With Us drama last summer, because it shows where the coverage, and I'm pretty sure there's footage of Perez Hilton when he was covering this drama. There weren't a ton of podcasts covering it, but Liz says, man, you are two-faces. I'm not two-faced. How am I two-faced? It's called looking at the other side of the coin and playing devil's advocate. Why would anyone hire Blake Lively? They would hire her if they want her to take somebody down. There you go. She got it down. I listen to you every morning here in Hawaii. Love your work. Thank you, Twan. Wow. No one can figure out the subpoena. That will sink. I don't know. It's going to be interesting how the subpoena comes into play and if this is going to open up the case against Stephanie Jones to really skyrocket and go through. Why didn't you like Justin Baldoni? Like you said, well, again, remember the timing and the context. Remember, guys, I was not familiar with Justin Baldoni prior to this. I was always thinking that Blake was trying to bury him and smear him with this lawsuit, and being that it leaked to the New York Times and the fact that they made it an easy to download PDF. Like all of the arguments that I remember making at the time very much still stand. However, rewind. But that, when you look back at that time, I didn't know anything about Justin. So I was hearing Blake's allegations. So I was like, they're probably both terrible. And then when I would go and look at his podcast or look at his TED Talk, I remember Donna published his TED Talk on her Instagram. She's like, look at, he's terrible. And so I was like, yeah, he's probably not a nice dude. He's probably, I think I called him a woke faux feminist or something like that, a fake feminist, something like that. So yeah, I mean, I was just, and since then, the more that we've gotten to know Justin Baldoni, that was in December, we're in April. So since then, yeah, I've gotten to see the full side of Justin Baldoni, and I don't think that he's a terrible guy at all. I mean, the press couldn't even find anything on him because the worst that they had was that he had a work environment that was, full of toxic positivity. Faye says Zack literally just followed the evidence available. I thought Justin sounded off a little at first too. Yeah, I thought he absolutely sounded off. And I was like, something about he doesn't like, my position at the very beginning was, I don't think that Justin's a good guy, but I don't think Blake is innocent in this either. I thought that they were both terrible people. And then unfortunately, the more information that we came out, the more we learned about Blake and Baldoni, the more we learned that like Baldoni's actually just a really nice dude, Lee says, you do a great job just stating facts as they are. Yeah. Sorry, dude, that video did not age well. The more I find out about Justin, the more saintly he becomes. It's not a good look. Okay, first of all, fuckface. I think you meant to say it's not a good look, not a good luck. So if you're going to try to insult me, at least, do a little proofreading first. And the video did age well, okay? Take notes, okay? The video did age well because it's now showing how the tides have turned, right? It was something that was posted and happened organically in real time, which is why we're reflecting on all of these videos to show my personal trajectory of how we went from the It Ends With Us drama to how the tone changed after the Kirsty Flaw video to then once the lawsuit was dropped. Like, we're walking through the timeline of how this all played out, which ultimately doesn't help Blake Lively's case. So next time, bring your handy dandy notebook and take notes. Daisy says, you can change my mind. I can't stand Blake Lively, but I believed her at first too. I did not believe her. I was not one of those people that believed it was like, oh my God. I was like, whoa, red flags in this New York Times article. However, I was not really fully Team Justin at the beginning, Heather says, okay, but say you fully love and adore him now. I literally put out shirts to raise money for his organization that say Justice for Justin. You absolutely cannot say that I'm not, that I don't adore the dude now. Zack, I love your expressions. Thank you. Khaleesi says, that's why we're not bots. I know that's right. He said, well, you know. Wendy says, I'm surprised you didn't tell that guy to lick your butthole. I did enough of that last week. You know, my butthole's tired. It's had enough licking from the haters. Oh. Yeah. But did you tattoo him on your perineum? Not yet. Not yet. Zach, your words are rich. Are they? They're a little crass sometimes. You know, sometimes I'm like, I try to like have a clean mouth, and then somebody just comes into the live chat and I'm like, bitch, shut up. Turns out you call him like you say, I do. And you know. Okay. Anything else before we wrap? Emily says, for those coming for Daddy Sleuth, what do you want from him? To deny victims coming forward and victimize them even more, to stand 10 toes down with until something's proven? Yeah. Thank you, Emily Cheek. We all were just following this unfolds, and I'm glad that we now get to reflect on that. Did Blake grab me by the crotch? Right? Remember when Billy Bush got canceled over that whole thing? And then Blake Lively, everyone's like out here being like, well, it's okay that she grabbed Henry. What was his name? Henry something from another simple, A Simple Favor. And she's like, well, it's okay that she grabbed him. Paul Feig, he was in on it too. And he's like, yeah, we thought it was funny. I wanted her to grab him harder. Alice in Silverland said, it's all about the journey for all of us. And Zack is a warrior, and anyone would be lucky to have him researching for them. Wow, that was very generous of you. Thank you. Elsie made a great point that Sabrina Carpenter probably saved Taylor Swift from eating her words by saying, no, Queen, he's an angel. Just let this play out with no involvement. That's one thing Taylor Swift did that was smart, was she didn't say anything and never went on the record to give a comment or to deny anything or to say she's Team Blake, which very smart. Very, very smart, because look at America Ferrera and Amber Tamblyn and Alexis Bledel. They all look dumb. We also have Amber Heard and Harvey Weinstein who are defending Blake. What's his name? Brandon Sklenar looks dumb. Jenny Slate looks dumb, especially now that they're basically retracting their statements. Do you think that they regret it, or do you think that they just don't want to get hate? Like, do you think that Jenny Slate still believes Blake Lively, or do you think that she's just like, listen, it's better to get out of this unscathed? Like, that's what I'm kind of torn about. Like, does Brandon Sklenar regret coming out? And does he regret it because of the backlash, or does he regret it because he thinks that, you know, Blake is lying now, you know? Purple Yellow says, never believed the smear campaign part, believe the harassment part a little bit. Yeah, well, there was just no evidence of an alleged smear campaign. But also, even if there is a smear campaign, like, I don't think that there's anything illegal about, like, astroturfing and making somebody look bad on social media, you know? Annabelle says, Jenny Slate is regretting supporting Blake. That's what I don't know. Like, is she regretting it, or she's just trying to stay out of the heat? Jenny doesn't want her own skeletons. Yeah, people pulled up her Anna Faris interview real quick. Oh, for sure, he regrets because of the backlash. I don't think he really cares whether or not it's true. Yeah, I think I agree. I think he cares about the backlash, and I think he cares about keeping his relationship with Ryan Reynolds. But, like, listen, when you learn that people are not good people, like, at what point do you walk away from them? I know Sklenar was still liking Ryan Reynolds' posts last month on Instagram, so it's like he clearly doesn't have an issue with him. They're trying to stay out of the heat. I think so too. I don't think that they think that Blake is lying. I think that they just want to get out of the heat, you know? I heard the New York Times article and thought that Justin must be creepy. Thank goodness Justin posted his own evidence. Yeah. Listen, we're seeing a real shift. You know, before, I think Crisis PR would have said, just be quiet, lay low, and wait for this to all blow over. And now, you know, they really came out swinging. And good for them, you know? Good for them, because we would have believed that he was this terrible guy. I don't think it's regret. I think they've been told to keep their mouths shut because of depositions. And once depositions come, I think that is where they could really get into a lot of trouble with contradictions in their stories. Now that more people are speaking up, I hope there's more to come. Yeah. Diane says, I don't think she believes her. I think she regrets it because of that. Yeah, I agree. It seems like we're all on the same page. Okay. Then in I think that's all, right? I think that's everything for today. We looked at all the footage. We talked about the crew member, Australian 60 Minutes. So you can watch that on YouTube now. I'm assuming the whole thing is available on YouTube. They have some of the clips that I played here, but I believe the whole thing is now available on YouTube. But all right, guys, thank you. Love you. Appreciate you. Subscribe if you're not subscribed. Hit the subscribe button. Hit the like button on your way out. Give me a follow. Just Plain Zack. Follow the podcast at No Filter with Zack. Like I said, if you want to watch my review of Blake Lively's Betty Boos, that's up on Instagram now, so you can go and give that a follow there. Zack, watch Bad Influence. What is Bad Influence? Thank you, Zack, and congratulations again. So happy. I'm so happy too. I'll do an official announcement with everything, but I love you guys. Thank you. Appreciate you. Have a great rest of your week, and or your day, because I'll talk to you tomorrow. New episodes of the Pop Report drop this Wednesday and Friday, so stay tuned. You never know when we're going to be replaying those old clips because of another lawsuit. So get ready for it. Love you guys. Appreciate you. Let's get it. Okay, bye.